Good morning, traders, and this is your Dow Jones day trade setup, where we look at some technical analysis on the Dow Jones to see if we can get some daily trades. What can I say? So we had a good gap down and pretty much went nowhere for most of the day, but then just sort of an hour before the close, we printed this pretty good green bar. Not quite not a very bullish bar, but a bar nevertheless. And I think there are a few things that I am watching at the moment, and so I just want to get some levels in here. So first thing is this little trend line here, and I just want to extend it there, something like that. Okay, so if you have a look, going back to January, we had this downward trend here. So high, lower high, lower high. So we had three lower highs there. We kind of came back to test it. It was looking like it was a trend line, and then for February we basically just went sideways. Okay, nothing much happening, trying to break all-time highs, and just basically a range month until sort of late in the month when we fell off. Broke through the level, came back, we tested it, down, tested it again. Now we've broken through it, and the question I'm asking is, how significant is this level? How much is this actually, how much weight is this carrying in the current price action? So I'm just going to leave it on the charts for a bit. Right now we are ranging. You can see for pretty much most of last month and this month, it is a range, albeit a fairly, not quite a tight range, a fairly wide range that we're moving. And this level here, you can see is quite a bit of interaction. You see a lot of support found at this area here. So I think it's going to take quite a bit to get through this 23.325 area. Let's just start getting down the lower time frames, and we can have a look at it in a bit more detail. So you can see, if I look to the left here, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. There is a lot of support in this area here. So I'm just going to leave it sort of on the low of yesterday, because that's clearly where the buyers stepped in. Now, if we look at that trend line, and I just add this trend line in here, there's nothing. It didn't come back and test that, so delete that one. But then let's just put this one in here, because that is fairly significant there. Okay, so you can see this trend line looked like it was being rejected for most today, and then pretty much going into the close we sort of rallied, and then during the Asian session now we have rallied now again. Now the level that we rallied into, which is also fairly interesting, is that area there. Now this needs to come back to the daily to show you a couple of things here. So firstly, there's a daily pin bar there, and let's just change that to a blue. Let's go back to the left. See the rejection off that level there. There's so it was found the support, found a resistance there. Pretty much nothing happening there. Found a support, eventually found a support here, definitely found a support there, and that's it. So quite a significant level, this area here, which is 23.896. Okay, so let's just keep that in mind at the moment. We're probably going to have to fine tune it ever so slightly. So if we come back to the 3 hour, we will be able to fine tune it with a few areas here. So something along the lines of that, I would say. You can see rejection, and pretty much sort of rejecting, finding it indecision, and then finding support. Nice long entry right over there before I move the upside off that level. So that area there is something I want to pay attention to. Okay, so a couple of scenarios again. And for as long as we are in between this 2-3, let's just call it 23,900 and this 23,314 or 23,310 area, I think I'm neutral. So not really interested in chasing any long-term trades. Definitely will look at some smaller short-term trades if I see the setup off these levels. But these are the two lines in the sand. So a couple of things transpired. First one is this trend line here. It was a break. You can see we came back, sort of hovered on it there, broke through, came back and tested it here, came back a second time to try to test the break, and then a fairly good rally. So that's what's leading me to believe that this trend line here has some significance for some reason. And you can see the move down, we gap below it, and then we spent most of yesterday trying to get back through it. And look at the 150 EMA. It's also playing a role in this. Eventually, out of this barbed wire, we break through and we break this trend line again. So the question on my mind is, was this a retest of that trend line? And now we're expecting another move to the upside. So that's kind of the bullish view of this. The bearish view of what we have at the moment is we did find support here, so that's kind of bullish, right? But we broke through this trend line. So we gapped below it, came up, we rejected it, and then back up again. So is this now a retest of the break? I know it doesn't look like a retest of the break, but technically for me anyway it is. Until we come back and find support on it, this trend line is broken. And the trend was to the downside originally. So I should be looking, trading the 3 hour, I should be looking for a short entry because that is the direction of the trend. But we have all this support up. We've got support down here, we've got this resistance. We're currently kind of where we are at the moment. So for as long as we're between these two levels, I'm very, very cautious about getting in on a trade in any direction. If we look at the 1 hour, now this is something that is actually pretty significant now. You can see we had this massive downtrend on the hour. Okay, you can see how the interaction at the levels has been. Look there. Okay, rejection. Look at this scenario on Friday. Okay, and then a move down. Look how we lined up with that trend line. Look at this 1 bar pullback onto the trend line. Okay, look at this barbed wire from yesterday. I mean, there was literally nothing going on yesterday. So the last 2 hours of trading is pretty much where the buyer stepped in. Here they are here. So was that just profit taking? So in other words, people that were sitting short, moving their stop down, probably move their stop through this area here. Something like that. And then stops get triggered. And then Asian session, we move the upside. It's important to note where we are now as well. We are at the 150 EMA. We are at a pretty significant level. And let's look at those two levels. So 23,896, and then we're looking at 2,400. So 2,400 is a round number at the same time. So that does make a lot of sense. Have a look at your oscillators. Oscillators are grouping to the upside. Okay, nice tight grouping at the moment on the hour. V reversals are rare. So you can see this is not a V reversal. There's multiple attempts to break down, eventually breaking to the upside. Same here. 1, 2, 3 attempts. Break below, 4 attempts. Lower high, and then it moves to the downside. So I'm looking for some structure now. So kind of structure we'll be looking for is something like this, where it starts sort of in a little bit of a tight channel before it breaks out. And if you look at the significance of that, there was my trend, broke down, retest, back down. Here's my lower high. My entry is on the break of this level here. which there's my close, short stop up there, and fairly decent trade setup there off a level again. So for me right now, I'm looking at these. Let's just tidy that up. I'm looking at these two levels now and waiting to see what transpires. If we get above them and we hold them, and I suppose not them, but more 2400. So if we get above 2400, come back and test 2400, that will get me bullish. Okay. Another area that will get me bullish is a pullback back onto this trend line, because I don't see any other significant level. Maybe something in this area. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's quite a bit going on in this area. So a deeper pullback into 23,616. That would also get me looking for a long. Okay, so clearly in two minds, as you can hear, this is a fairly strong downward trend. We have had a moving average crossover here, which indicates a reversal. I haven't had a retest of a breakout. That's the only thing that concerns me. So I would prefer to see a retest of this breakout here. And I suppose we could argue that that's the level there, because there's the low, there's the high. So it uses support there, uses resistance here. So that's kind of the level we're looking for. So I pull back into that, bring this back onto this trend line, find support, moves to the upside. Okay, this after hours move is here, move back up into this area here of 2400, and we reject 2400. So in other words, we get some kind of I'm not going to say something like this, because that's a really barbed wire, complete indecision. But what we're looking for is maybe a double top like that. We've got inside bar, maybe some pin bars off there, maybe an engulfing bar. But I'm looking for some sort of price action off 2400. That's going to indicate that that level is going to be rejected. Okay, the last scenario here is classic Fibonacci retracement. And that's going to be, let me rather do this with a block. Okay, and then just delete the Fibonacci. Right. Okay, bit of a messy chart at the moment, but you'll get the picture now. So you'll see there's a gap right smack bang in the middle of, and I'm actually going to leave this on the chart as well. So there's a gap right here in the middle of the 61.8 and the 50% Fibonacci. Okay, if I look to the left, there is some fairly significant support and resistance here as well. Okay, so 24,257 would be a fairly decent entry for a short. Okay, and the basis of that would be, this is the strong moves to the downside, this is the retracement, nice deep retracement, bounce off this level. That's going to give me a second move to the downside. So that's the one scenario on this. Okay, the other scenario is that this was a move up, this is the pullback, forming a range, and we're now moving back to the top of the range to tackle this 24,700 area again. And remember that 24,700 is also very significant, because that it's not quite our 61.8, if I remember correctly. Okay, so it's just short of our 61.8 retracement. 61.8 retracement is up there at 25 to, let's call it 25,200. Okay, now while we're on the daily, guys, there's something that you need to look out for here as well. If I can just get rid of this. Okay, so you can see we have not created a lower low. There's the previous low. Okay, rather go to the 3 hour here. So here's our previous low. We have not made a lower low. We have made a higher high. There was a previous high, there's a current high. So technically, this thing is still moving to the upside. Even though you're moving averages all over the place, it's not a tight trend at the moment. It's kind of a range that we're in, and we could argue we are now bottom of range. We're looking for a move to top of range or even a slight new high. So 2400 is definitely something that I'd be paying attention to right now. Okay, so looking at the 15-minute, you can see a little bit more structure here. You can see trendline break, retest right over there. Look at the break, retest over there. Okay, and now we are at a level. Look to the left, you can see all this bob wire here at that level. You pay attention to that. So I think for me right now, 2400. If 2400 goes, then you're probably going to get into 24100 and moving on to 24285. Okay, so guys, that's kind of my view at the moment. I don't see anything else that's going to transpire. It's if we get a nice deep pullback, there's probably an opportunity for another move to the upside, but I want to see 2400 and see what happens there. If we gain it and we hold it, then definitely looking for longs into that Fibonacci retracement area. If we reject it, then I'm definitely looking for shorts, moving back to the lows of yesterday. Hope it helps, and we'll catch you later. Cheers for now.